Ladies and gentlemen, Chabad's mission to Israel. Please give your attention to the screen.
In the face of darkness, we find our greatest strength. After the Yom Kippur War, Rabbi Yisroel Meir Lau asked the Lubavitcher Rebbe, "What will be?" But the Rebbe's response was a call to action. We don't ask what will be. We ask, what can we do? Today, as we confront the horrors of October 7th and Israel wages war to free our hostages and destroy our enemies, the Rebbe's words ring out loud and clear. We, the Jewish people, are compelled to act, to ensure that our brothers and sisters in Israel are not alone. Jews the world over are being called upon to rush to their aid, to provide tangible support and comfort, and to transform darkness into light. Alongside many incredible Jewish organizations, Chabad of the Valley has heeded this call. With the generous support of our community and beyond, we've completed 6 mission trips to Israel since October 7th. We visited the ravaged kibbutzim, met with bereaved families, and stood in solidarity with our brave soldiers, the modern-day Maccabees who put their lives on the line for our nation. We've brought gifts to displaced families, toys to children. We've seen the resilience of our people, the strength of our heroes, and the power of our unity. Each mission trip was a testament to our community's generosity, as we transported an abundance of suitcases overflowing with essential items, pairs of tefillin to strengthen spiritual resolve, mezuzahs to provide protection and comfort, toys and gifts to bring joy to children. Our goal was to deliver as much material and spiritual support as possible, wrapping our brothers and sisters in a sense of love, care, and solidarity. In the face of tragedy, we've discovered our greatest treasure, the unbreakable spirit of Am Yisrael. We've seen it in the courage of grieving parents, the radiance of our soldiers, and the resolve of families with loved ones in captivity. We've seen it in the unwavering hope of our people, the unshakable faith of our nation. Am Yisrael Chai. The nation of Israel is alive, and we will continue to thrive, to hope, and to heal together.
Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats and direct your attention to the screens as we tribute 50 years of Chabad in the Valley.
On March 26, 1972, a historic Farbrengen Hasidic gathering was held at Chabad World Headquarters in Brooklyn, New York, celebrating the Lubavitcher Rebbe's 70th birthday. That night, the Rebbe issued a challenge and call to action that would become the catalyst to forever alter the global Jewish landscape. In honor of his 70th birthday, the Rebbe asked that 71 new Chabad houses be established that year. Over the course of the next year, Hasidim around the world worked tirelessly to fulfill the Rebbe's directive. On the very last day of that year, a young Rabbi Joshua Gordon received a blessing from the Rebbe that would culminate in the realization of this monumental goal.
The Rebbe had before him our question for bracha and haskama, that the Rebbe should empower us to become Shluchim in Chabad of the Valley, and that same day we received the answer from the Rebbe. And we became one of the last of the 71 institutions.
From its humble beginnings in Encino, Chabad of the Valley quickly branched out, establishing centers in Westlake, Tarzana, North Hollywood, and Sherman Oaks, spreading the Rebbe's vision far and wide. In addition to opening synagogues, Chabad began to introduce innovative programming: Gan Israel Preschool, Hebrew School, and Camp Gan Israel, transforming the valley into a thriving Jewish hub. The next few decades saw unprecedented expansion, with new centers sprouting up across the north, east, and western areas of the San Fernando Valley, as well as the Conejo, Santa Clarita, and Simi valleys, rapidly transforming the region into one of the largest Jewish population centers in the world. As Chabad of the Valley's impact and reach continued to grow, the need for larger and more versatile community centers became clear. Impressive multi-purpose buildings, beginning with Chabad of the Valley headquarters, were developed, becoming bustling centers of life. A more recent milestone was the completion of the renovation and restoration project of the mikveh, a masterpiece of elegance and beauty. Throughout these 5 decades, Chabad's growth has been fueled by its dynamic programming, producing some of the largest and most iconic events in Southern California and beyond, touching hearts, minds, and souls. Today, Chabad of the Valley's 50-year legacy boasts 32 centers, 100 rabbis and rebbitzins, numerous summer camps, schools, synagogues, adult education institutes, sunshine clubs for seniors, and friendship circle programs serving children with special needs. With hundreds of thousands reached, countless lives transformed, humble beginnings have blossomed into a vast Jewish metropolis. The Jewish landscape of the greater San Fernando Valley area has been forever changed in a way that will inspire generations to come.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our keynote speaker this evening, Chabad's director in the Conejo Valley region, Rabbi Moshe Brisky.
Thank you. Esteemed shluchim and shluchos, distinguished leaders, benevolent friends, thank you for the great honor of addressing this auspicious gathering in celebration of the 50th anniversary of Chabad of the Valley. You know, I travel quite a bit throughout the year, giving lectures and speeches in Jewish communities around the world. And just about everywhere I go, I meet many people who are very familiar with Chabad of the Valley. I can be introduced in many different ways, but invariably it is the fact that I am part of Chabad of the Valley and a protege of Rabbi Joshua Gordon that tends to be my most impressive calling card. Now, for many of you being involved locally, I'm not sure if you're all aware of the global reputation Chabad of the Valley has for being the gold standard in the world of Jewish outreach. The shluchim and the staff of Chabad of the Valley are acclaimed for their talent, for their creativity, for their wisdom, and perhaps above all, for their pioneering spirit. So I think that everyone in this room tonight should feel exceedingly proud to be a partner in this trailblazing, impactful, and far-reaching force for good, not only throughout the valley, but indeed all across the globe. My friends, to say that the Jewish people are going through a very difficult time right now would be an understatement. It's been almost a year now since the savage attacks of October the 7th, and the pain and the horror of those events and their continuing after effects have not abated in the least. As we sit here tonight, there are still hostages being kept from their long-suffering families in one of the most hellish places on earth. Others have been murdered in cold blood while in Hamas captivity. Our dear soldiers remain on the front line fighting for their lives and for ours. The evil regime in Iran keeps pushing the buttons of its proxies while threatening deadly attacks on its own. Many of our brothers and sisters are mourning the loss of loved ones, while hundreds of thousands of others have been displaced from their own homes. Around the world, Jews continue to be the target of rabid anti-Semitism and hate in a way most of us would have never thought possible after the Holocaust. The massive demonstrations glorifying the barbarians of Hamas while leveling the most vile and insidious accusations against Israel and its fight to defend human decency and civilization itself are beyond disturbing. So when we look at the reality before our eyes, it's hard not to be consumed by fear and despair. So how do we find hope when so much feels hopeless? So first, let me say this. Since October the 7th, I, like many of my colleagues of Chabad of the Valley, have been to Israel to extend physical and spiritual support to our soldiers, to the families of the hostages, to the refugees, and others directly affected by the catastrophes. I have gone twice. Our own Rabbi Yankee Khan, who has spearheaded many of these missions, has been there 6 times. And during these visits, we observed something absolutely amazing. Yes, the country is hurting. Yes, the country is in mourning. People are crying and praying and longing and yearning, desperate for answers and solutions. But beneath all of that, I discovered something far more compelling and powerful as well. Through it all, there is still this underlying spirit of resolve, even of joy and optimism, pervading the hearts and souls of much of the population. Wherever we went, we saw posters and banners with the pictures of the hostages with the slogans, "Bring them home." But we also saw messages prominently displayed, "Am hanetzach loy mefachdim," the people of eternity are not afraid. Am hanetzach yinatseach, the people of eternity will be victorious. So you can say, really? After everything that's taking place with so much danger and devastation all around us, are the people completely tone deaf? Are they clueless? And the answer, my friends, is that whereas in the secular world, the prevailing aphorism is that seeing is believing, meaning If I can perceive and observe something with my physical senses and faculties, then it is true. And if I can't, then it's not real. But for the Jewish people, our aphorism is quite the opposite. For us, believing is seeing. Our faith enables us to see hope where others see despair, to see light where others see darkness, to see tremendous triumphs where others see insurmountable obstacles. As David Ben-Gurion famously said, in Israel, to be a realist, you must believe in miracles. Let's face it, our reality has never been rooted in the natural or the empirical. The only reason the Jewish people exist today is because throughout history, we have refused to see only that which is on the surface. In the face of every great challenge, we have employed a vision, a capacity to see beyond our present circumstances, to dream of what could be, and with God's help, would be. And so at times like this, my friends, it behooves us to remember who we are and what we are. We are Am Yisrael. Anachnu ma'aminim b'nei ma'aminim. We are believers. We are the sons and daughters of believers. We are the people for whom believing is seeing. No matter the pain, no matter the circumstances, we remain hopeful, we remain optimistic, confident, and joyful because Am Yisrael lives. It lives with a sense of vision, not just sight. We are guided by transcendent imagination, not finite observation. And this, ladies and gentlemen, brings us to tonight's celebration. If there is one central motive that has characterized and animated Chabad of the Valley for over half a century, it is that sense of vision, of seeing beyond the challenges of the present to the possibilities of the future. This was the essence of the founding shliach and executive director of Chabad of the Valley, Rabbi Yeshua Benjamin Josh Gordon of blessed memory. He devoted heart and soul to his Rebbe. Rabbi Gordon lived every day with that sense of vision and possibility. 50 years ago, when Rabbi Josh and Rebbetzin Debbie first moved out to Encino, where all this began, the valley was largely a spiritual wasteland insofar as traditional Judaism was concerned. But even as they were working out of a tiny storefront on Ventura Boulevard, Rabbi and Rebbetzin Gordon did not just see the valley for what it was, but for what it could and would yet become. Not a day went by in which the Gordons did not feel the urgency and the potency of the Rebbe's very specific blessing and directive to them upon their acceptance of their mission. V'ha'ikar sheyachlit lavod b'meretz u'bitochon chazak, the Rebbe said to them. The main thing is to resolve to work with alacrity and with tremendous faith and trust in God. Those were the marching orders, and they stuck with them. And so, starting with a series of small programs, a minyan, a study group, a Hebrew school, a day camp, they began to steadily put this vision into action. As time went on, they bought a property in Encino. They opened a branch in the Caneo Valley. They started a preschool in Tarzana. In 1980, the Gordons were joined by a powerhouse couple named Rabbi Morty and Chavi Einbinder. who established a vibrant community in Tarzana while helping broaden the vision and the reach of Chabad throughout the Greater Valley. Rabbi Gordon's brilliance, Rabbi Gordon's leadership skills, complemented by Rabbi Morty's dynamism and people skills, made them an unstoppable force in their efforts to permeate and to saturate the entire valley with the Rebbe's teaching of love of God, love for Torah, love for a fellow Jew. And Chabad of the Valley hit its stride. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight as we celebrate this momentous milestone, there are more than 100 shluchim, Chabad rabbis and rebbitzins operating 32 centers across the length and breadth of this region. East Valley, West Valley, North Valley, Caneo Valley, Santa Clarita Valley, Simi Valley. The seeds planted 50 years ago have sprouted. They have blossomed into magnificent orchards of Jewish education, of community celebration. The barren wasteland has been transformed into this oasis of Yiddishkeit. Large centers, small centers, shuls and schools and mikvahs and camps and teen clubs and programs for children with special needs. Women groups, adult education programs, massive holiday celebrations, senior programs, crisis counseling, emergency food and shelter programs addressing the physical and spiritual needs of Jews of all ages, from all walks of life, connecting them to each other and to God above. So if one were to ask you, what is Chabad of the Valley? The answer is Chabad of the Valley is this. Chabad of the Valley is a very big tent encompassing many different things from many different people in many different places. I am a part of it. You are a part of it, as are tens of thousands of others in what has become one of the most sought after and fastest growing centers of Torah Judaism in the United States of America. Vision, vision, my friends. It all begins with vision. But that's not where it ends. For if the vision is to come to fruition, it must be linked to action. As you saw in one of the past videos years ago during another difficult time for the state of Israel, the former chief rabbi of Israel, Rabbi Yisrael Meir Lau, came to visit with the Lubavitcher Rebbe in New York. The Rebbe asked Rabbi Lau what the Jews in Israel are saying. Rabbi Lau answered that the Jews in Israel are asking, "Was wird sein?" You know what that means? What's going to be? What's going to happen here? To which the Rebbe responded, a Jew does not ask, "Was wird sein?" what's going to be. The question a Jew must ask is, "Was geht man tun?" What are we going to do? What can we do to help the situation? Less dread and despair, more faith and action. For as Jews, we are never the victims of our circumstances. We are, in fact, the controllers of our destiny. My friends, let us not underestimate what each of us can do to illuminate the darkness of these days with the lights of hope and optimism and joy and strength. Let us not underestimate the difference each of us can make, whether by lobbying our congressman, posting online, joining a march, or taking on a new mitzvah. Let us not underestimate the power of our prayers and deeds to evoke divine mercy and generate new miracles and blessings for Am Yisrael. Everything matters, every action taken to help our brethren in Israel and to strengthen Jewish pride and identity in our community here in the diaspora brings us that much closer to the realization of that powerful vision. Am HaNetzach Yinatzeach, the people of eternity will prevail and will be victorious. I'd like to share a story with you that had a powerful impression upon me. For those of you that have gone on group tours of Israel, whether with Chabad or with JLI or any such groups, chances are the highlight of your trip was being at the Kotel on a Friday night for Shabbat services. So there's a man who every year leads a large group of men on one of those tours to the Holy Land. And every year, he coordinates with a friend of his in the IDF to bring a large contingency of soldiers to the wall at the precise time that his group would be there. And his group embraces the soldiers, and they sing together, and they dance together. It's unbelievable, the love and the pride and the inspiration. If you were there and you had that opportunity on a Friday night to dance with the soldiers, you know that feeling. So one year, in addition to the regular chayalim, his friends brought a contingency of covert soldiers, military intelligence officers in plain clothes. And at one point, the friend pulls the group leader aside and he says, "Don't look now, but standing at the back of the Kotel is the commander of this elite unit. He keeps to himself, but this guy has been in the intelligence community for 40 years. He's a legend in the IDF. He's the real thing, a total hero. And if you can find some way to engage him in conversation, I think you would find it a very rewarding experience." All excited about the challenge and the opportunity, the group leader makes his way over to this man in the back, standing at the back of the Kotel, taking in the scene, minding his own business. Coming closer, he can see this sharp, rugged features of a man who had clearly been through some things that we cannot begin to imagine. He approaches this gever, this man amongst men, and he meekly says, "Shabbat Shalom." In this deep baritone voice, the commander replies, "Shabbat Shalom." Okay, this is getting a little awkward. What do I say next? He's groping for a way to break the ice, so he says, "So, you always wanted to be in the army?" And he says, "No." All right, that didn't go anywhere. "Well, you must be a very brave man." "No, I'm not. By nature, I'm not brave at all." Now he's thinking to himself, maybe I should just quit while I'm ahead so that Rambo here doesn't decide to shoot me. But then the officer throws him a lifeline. And he says, "Ata makfutza? Are you with the group, with the tourists?" So he says, "Yeah, I'm the manig, I'm the leader of the group." "All right, so you want to know, you came to hear how I came to join the army." He says, "Yes, I would very much like to hear that." The officer begins by explaining that prior to the establishment of the modern state of Israel, Jews living in Eretz Yisrael did not have an IDF to defend them. So they formed mini armies, fighting groups like Etzel and Lechi and Palmach to resist the oppression of the British and the murderous pogroms of the Arabs. So the officer's father, he says, was a member of one of those groups. One night, his father was on a mission, and he was shot. Refusing to go to the hospital because that would lead to questions and possibly exposure of his group to the British authorities, he was brought home with this gaping wound. So the commander is now telling this group leader, "I was just a kid at the time, but I remember it like yesterday. It was total pandemonium in my house. My mother started pulling curtains off the windows and sheets off the shelves, tying things around my father to try to stem the bleeding. My job was to run down the block to where a secret doctor lived. We had a special knock reserved for emergencies like this, so I did the knock, and the doctor came running with me to our apartment. The pandemonium continued as the doctor started yelling instructions to my mother and to the others. It was horrible. After a little while, the bleeding finally stopped and everything, it seemed okay. And they set up this mini hospital in our apartment. Just a night or two later, I was walking towards my room, and my father called out to me. He said, "I need you to sit down next to me." I sat down at the edge of his bed. He looked at me in a tone of voice I had never heard before. He said, "My son, it's time. It's time." I said, "Abba, what's it time for?" He said, "It's time for you to be a man." I said, "Abba, I'm 11 years old. What are you talking about?" "It's time for you to be a man." "Abba, why do you keep saying that?" "It's time for you, my dear son, to be a man." And then I got it. And I said, "No, no, no, Abba, no, Abba. You can't. You can't leave us. Please, please, Abba. Ima needs you. I need you. Everybody needs you. We're not ready. Don't let go. Please don't let go. Hold on. I'm only 11. You know I'm not brave. Eini yachol, I can't do this. I can't do this. I cannot do this." My father shook his head and he said, you need to become a man." I said, "I'm not able to be a man." And then my father became very animated and he said, "Able? Do you think you have to be able? Able? Is that what you think?" My father was not a religious man, but he was an ardent student of Jewish history. And he said to me, "Do you think Abraham was able when he was called upon to teach the world that there is only one God? Was he able? Do you think Joseph was able when he was suddenly tasked with changing the entire world's food consumption? Able? Do you think that Moses was able to go up against Pharaoh, the most powerful man in ancient times, and take the Jewish people out of Egypt? Do you think King David was able to slay Goliath and become the king? Do you think the Maccabees were able when they decided to fight back against the mighty Syrian Greek Empire? Able. Able. Do you think anybody is ever able to be the person they're meant to be? You don't have to be able. You have to be willing. And if you're willing, you will find the ability. God will give you the ability. No, my son, I'm not asking you to be able. I am asking you to be willing. So are you willing? That's what I need to know. As the commander's relating this to the group leader, he says, from that moment on, up until this very moment, I have lived with those last words of my father. Before every tour, before every mission, before every operation, I wake up that morning and I say to myself, I can't. I don't think I'm able to do this. But my Father thinks I am, so I am willing. That is how I have approached every phase and every aspect of my service to this land and to the people of Israel. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the story of the Jewish people. This is the story of Israel. This is the story of Chabad of the Valley. This is the story of our lives. When my father and other survivors of the Holocaust came to this country with nothing more than shirts on their backs, in one form or another, people were telling them, give it up. It's over. The lifestyles and traditions you grew up with, those all went up in smoke over Auschwitz and Treblinka. So what did they do? They kept on having families and building communities. Do you think it happened because they had the ability, because they had the wherewithal to do those things? No, it happened because they had the will. That's how they did it. And we are all sitting in this room tonight because of these heroes who had the will. My friends, the difference between greatness and mediocrity is not determined by what we're able to do, but what we're willing to do. The true test of what we're made of does not occur when things are going smoothly and everything makes sense. It's when life throws us circumstances that are about to knock us down, but we choose instead to step up and meet the moment that we prove our mettle. The true heroes are not necessarily the ones with the best shot, but the ones who keep on charging and charging and charging up that hill. And so rather than be disheartened or discouraged by the overwhelming challenges facing our people right now, let us be emboldened by them. What was it that the Lubavitcher Rebbe told Rabbi and Rebbetzin Gordon back then? V'ha'ikar lavo b'meretz ubitachon chazak. The main thing is to work with alacrity and with faith. For if the will is there, the ability will follow. Let us take our cue from the proactive rabbis and laypersons of this community who have been giving so generously of themselves, physically and financially, to bring urgently needed love and support and materials and supplies to our brothers and sisters in Israel who are hurting. It's not so much that these individuals are able to do it as much as the fact is that they are willing to do it. What about the rest of us? What are we willing to do to make a difference? Perhaps show up for prayer services or Torah classes more often. Perhaps encourage some of our Jewish friends and neighbors to join along. Perhaps invite a family to your Shabbos table so that they become more connected to their Yiddish and neshamas, their precious Jewish souls. I'm not asking you if you're able to do those things. In fact, you may think you are completely unable to do them. After all, you'll say it's not who you are, right? But that's not the question. The question is, are you willing? Because if you're willing, if you're truly willing, then there's no doubt what will happen next. Ladies and gentlemen, for the past 50 years, Chabad of the Valley has dreamed big dreams, and it has acted with boldness and alacrity to transform those lofty dreams into dynamic realities. In the process, it has utilized every single dollar, every square inch of space, every last resources at its disposal to maximum effect, so as to reach out and to educate and to inspire the greatest number of children, of adults, of families, of seniors throughout this region. It doesn't take any great stretch of imagination to envision the unbelievable things this organization can yet accomplish as it enters its next half a century. If it were to have greater funds, vaster resources, larger facilities to work with. We have the vision, and by we, I mean all of us collectively. We have the track record. We have the ability. That leaves us with only one question, a question made up of 3 simple words. Are we willing? As the commander's father said, it's time. It's time. It's time for each of us to step up and be the champions that Israel and the Jewish people were meant to be. Ladies and gentlemen, Am Yisrael Chai, now and forever. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it is my great pleasure to welcome back to the stage some very good friends of mine. They actually did 2 concerts for us out in the Caneo Valley. Please put your hands together for musical director and producer Tomer Adadi, along with Adam, Nimrod, and Omer, once again, inspire us with their exquisite sounds. Ladies and gentlemen, Kol Esperanza.
Saliete tu saiado fare un grado più di spiede farmelo un po' adò la foca conce mai si fuie della sa sta e non è ora passa molto fuori se la guardar when troubles come and my heart burden be, then I am still and wait here in the silence until you come and sit a while with me. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas. I am strong when I am on your shoulders. You raise me up to more than I can be. There is no life without its hunger. Each restless heart beats so imperfectly. But when you call and I am filled with wonder, sometimes I think I glimpse eternity. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas. I am strong when I am on your shoulders. You raise me up to more than I can be. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. Oh, I am strong when I am on your shoulders. You raise me up to more than I can be. You raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk on stormy seas. I am strong when I am on your shoulder. You raise me up to more than I could be. You raise me up to more than I can imagine there's a heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us, above us only sky. Imagine all the people living for today. Imagine no possessions. I wonder if you can. No need for greed or hunger. A brotherhood of man. Imagine all the people living life in peace. Whoa, you may say
the Beatles' hit song, Let It Be, expressing the wish for the end of war and the safe return of the troops. It was true then and still is very true today. Let it be, Louis. עוד יש מפרש לבן באופק מול ענן שחור כבד, כל שנבקש הוא יהי. ואם בחלונות הערב או נרות החג רועד, כל שנבקש לו יהי. לו יהי, לו יהי, לו יהי, כל שנבקש לו יהי. לו יהי, לו יהי, לו יהי, כל שנבקש לו יהי. And when the broken-hearted people living in the world agree, there will be an answer, let it be. And though they may be parted, there is still a chance that they will see. There will be an answer, let it be. Let it be, let it be, let it be, let it be. Speaking words of wisdom, let it be. Let it be, let it be, let it be, let it be. Speaking words of wisdom, let it be. Ladies and gentlemen, that'll be the right time to get up and dance. Here we go. ובאו העובדים מארץ אשור והנידחים בארץ מצרים. ובאו העובדים מארץ אשור והנידחים בארץ מצרים. והשתחוו לשם בהר הקודש, והשתחוו לשם בהר הקודש, והשתחוו לשם בהר הקודש, והשתחוו לשם בהר הקודש. בירושלים, 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 עם ישראל, עם ישראל, עם ישראל חי, עם ישראל, עם ישראל
ותעברנו במצוותיך ויחל לבבנו לאהבה וליראה את שיריך ולא נבוש ולא נתעלם ולא ניכשל לעולם ועד שלא נבוש ולא ניכשל ולא ניכשל לעולם ועד בירושלים 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 I know you know this next one. Feel free to join me, okay? Here we go. בשנה הבאה נשב על המרפסת ונספור ציפורים נודדות. ילדים בחופשה ישחקו תופסת בין הבית לבין השדות. עוד תראה כמה טוב יהיה בשנה הבאה. 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 You'll see how good it will be בשנה הבאה. You will see how good it will be בשנה הבאה.
מי שמאמין לו